Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you. And you can see me. I can see you.
Yes.
We're good to go.
All
Yes.
right.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good.
You're in an emotional tomorrow. As I was just speaking a couple minutes while I see you were trying to being added on. So I was just sharing that tomorrow is a big deal for you guys.
It is.
And I have my tissues already. I'm going to need them. Just thinking about it, it's already making me teary eyed. So I guess just we'll jump right into it. I had already said that it was Bridget, but if you want to just kind of introduce yourself and your daughter, and then if you want to, wherever you want to start, just go for it. We're just going to get the signs and symptoms out and into the diagnosis, and we'll just do that.
Okay. I'm Bridget. I have 4 kids. Lily's my oldest daughter, and that's Lily. She's shy. So, about 2 weeks before she was diagnosed, we noticed that she was tired and she was very moody, and she was getting to be very clingy. But she had started her monthly thing early when she was 9, so that's what I thought it was. So the end of February, I noticed she was drinking a lot and going to the bathroom a lot.
End of February last year.
Yes, February last year. So I asked her, was she really thirsty like that? And she said, no, Mama, I'm fine. I'm just drinking it because it's there. I see it. So I just grabbed me some drink. And I said, okay. Well, it kept happening. And I Googled it. And when I Googled it, it said it was a sign of diabetes. So I told my husband, and he was like, well, just set her down and talk to her again. And let's just see. He said, but I think if it was something wrong, she would tell us. So I set her down. And I told her, I said, Lily, are you really that thirsty, baby? Because if you are, you need to let me know so we can go to the doctor because something's going on. And she was like, no, Mom, I'm fine. I'm fine. So today, a year ago, she gets sick and she's not feeling well. Well, the flu was going around. So that's what I was thinking it was. And I was like, I'll take you to the doctor in the morning. So that night before she goes to bed, she tells me she's feeling better. So I was like, okay, well, I'll still let you miss tomorrow, and I'm still going to take you to the doctor because it's just probably going to be the flu. So the next morning, when I get my other kids up and off to school, she's still sleeping, so I'm waiting for the doctor to open up at 8. So as soon as the doctor's office opened, I called them, and they said, well, bring her on in. So when I woke her up, it was just the most scariest sight I've ever seen. It was like I could see the bones in her face. She just looked so skinny to me. And I'm like, that's it, get in the car. We're going right now. So when we get to the doctor's office and they test her for the flu and they test her for all these other things. And the doctor comes and gets me out of the room and says, I need to talk to you alone. I said, okay. So when she pulls me out, she's like, you need to get her to the hospital right now. And I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, it's her sugar. I said, well, what is it? And she said, I don't know. Our machine only reads to 500. So I can only tell you it's over 500 and she needs to get to a hospital.
So at this point, had she vomited or anything other than she looked bad to you that morning? What other symptoms did she have other than she was drinking more?
She felt dizzy the night before.
Okay.
She was dizzy. She didn't throw up that night, though, but she felt dizzy.
Okay.
The morning when I got her up, every time she would move, she would throw up.
Okay. So she was throwing up the day that you took her into her doctor's office.
Right.
How many times had she vomited?
It was a lot. Especially when she moved, like when she got up, when she was getting dressed, she vomited like twice. When we got in the car on the way down there, she was thirsty and we had got a bottle of water because at this time we didn't realize that what it was.
Well, yeah.
And when she drank the water, soon as she swallowed it, it just come right back up.
Okay. So I could see why you were thinking maybe the flu.
Right.
Yeah.
So whenever I called my husband and I told him that I had to get her to the hospital and it was her sugar. So when I get them, they tell me I could. Her doctor is 45 minutes from us, and then the hospital we was taking her to was like an hour from where we was.
Okay.
So the hospital total is almost 2 hours from where I live at.
Okay.
So whenever he gets there and we're going across the causeway to get to the hospital, at that point she couldn't even hold her head up. She was just super, super weak. Whenever we get to the emergency room, they we tell them it's her sugar, and their machine only read the 600, and it was just staying high. So they told us to sit down. Well, as soon as we sat down, they called us right in the back. So when we're in the back, we're 2 hours from home, and it's just me, my husband, and her. So when we get in this room, these nurses just come rushing in there, and they was just like trying to get the IV started, and they're telling us she's in critical condition. At this point, we don't know. My husband says, I got to step outside the ring for a minute because we're trying to be strong in front of her.
Yeah.
So he steps outside so he could get his thoughts and stuff together.
Yeah.
And I'm asking the nurse, I'm like, she's going to be okay, right? And he pulls me out and he's like, we're going to do everything we can. So we not knowing what's going on. All we know is it's her sugar, and they say that we have to wait for the blood results to come back to check her sugar because it's so high. That's the only way they can tell.
Yeah.
So when they hurried up, we wasn't in the emergency room long at all. They got us in ICU and got her in critical condition. And they're telling us we just waiting, we just trying to see. And our preacher and his wife called us. For nothing right now. So,
Yeah.
and we're gonna step outside. And when we get outside, I just busted out crying because I was trying to say so strong for her.
Yeah.
So at this time, we
Did you
still have,
understand?
huh?
Did you understand what was happening? Were
I
you
didn't.
comprehending it, or because you didn't know
We didn't
really
know.
anything?
People didn't know nothing. People was messaging us and texting us, "Is she in DKA?" And we just like, we don't know. I don't know what that is. And I actually was sitting next to her and Googling what DKA was because so many people was asking us what it meant and we had no clue. And that's what really scared us is when we looked it up and realized exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So the nurses come in there every 5 minutes and they're checking on Lily all through the night, every 5 minutes because her blood sugar is dropping so fast. So when they finally come in there and told us what her blood sugar was, it was 1,080. She was on the verge of just, it was close. It was very close. It was
That's one
like
of the highest that I've heard.
it was high, and I was just like 1,080 when the nurse told us that. So she's like, "Is she's gonna be okay? This isn't the first time we've seen this." Well, when the doctor come in the next day and he starts asking us, does she have signs or symptoms? I'm like, no. I thought it was the flu. Well, then he started saying, has she felt tired? Well, yeah, she has. Has she been moody? She has. What about thirsty and going to the bathroom? Well, then it was like a punch in the gut. The guilt just
Yep.
took me over because I was like, I Googled that and I saw it. But I did not think that's what it was, because when I had talked to her, she told me she wasn't drinking that much. And I felt guilty. I felt like as a mother, I failed her for her sugar to be so high like that. Because
Sorry.
we supposed to know, and I didn't. And for a long time, that guilt really, really ate me up.
Yeah.
If I can help one mother or one father see the symptoms and the signs I wish I would have, this is all worth it. It
Yeah,
really
I
is.
agree.
It really is.
Yeah, I agree, because not every DKA story ends, you know,
Right.
with you getting to take your child home.
Right.
So thank you so much for sharing this. That's um the guilt is that's one of the things that is, I mean, we all have had it. And then, when you get home and you're really realizing how serious this was,
Right.
and you didn't know, you go from, well, I felt guilty too, but I went from guilt to just this wonderful sense of appreciation and relief. And I'm so blessed and lucky that, Cassie and, all of our children get to live with type 1, because like I said, not every child does. And so I remember reading those stories, just fresh home with Cassie, and thinking, how is this happening? Like, why is this happening?
Right.
And the reason is that, because you don't know. And then, the guilt is real. And like you said, if we could just get this out there to the, one person that needs to hear it, that's maybe been wrestling back and forth with things that they witnessed, or that gut feeling, a lot of mothers say, I like me, I knew something was off. I just didn't know what it was.
Right.
Yeah. How long do you think you noticed, if you can remember back?
Probably like 2.5 weeks is when I started noticing her being more tired. That was like the first thing, was seeing her more tired than what she usually was.
Yeah.
And then extra clingy, like she didn't want to leave my side. She wanted to sleep in the bed with me, and just things like that.
Yeah.
And to realize how horrible that she must have felt.
Yeah.
And didn't come tell me, and I didn't realize how terrible. And me getting on to her for drinking too much drink, that really, really bothered me for a long time, because I would fuss at her about it, but I didn't realize that she felt like she needed, her body needed that extra. I didn't know that. And that really, really ate me up a lot.
Yeah. No, I understand. The day before Cassie was diagnosed, we were at a pumpkin patch, and there were all these fun activities for kids her age to do. She was 10. And she sat at the picnic table, not wanting to do anything. And I remember looking at her like, this is not you. Like, are you okay? And she kept telling me, she kept saying she was fine. It wasn't until she was at an amusement park and projectile vomited. And then she said, oh, I feel better. So, don't beat yourself up, but so much, because, she was saying she was fine. Maybe she was thinking she, was going to be fine. Or it's either they got so used to running high.
Right.
They're not fine, but you know what I mean? So you can't beat yourself up, but so bad, because if we could know when they're not 1080 or 880, we would want to know.
Right.
So that's the whole purpose of this, and I remember, like you, when you were confused and they, pulled you out into the waiting room and said, we're going to do our best, but you're just, your mind is swirling like, how did we get here?
Right.
How did it get to this point? And it's a buildup. And so that's what is intriguing me. That's what's interesting me. And that's what I want to get out there, is that gradual buildup, because it isn't overnight. It's not a switch that's flipped. They don't
Right.
go from fine to 1080.
Right.
And so, yeah, this is exactly what I hope we're doing, is just getting these stories out there. And, it's a lot to take at once.
It is. And you're doing a
So,
really good thing. I wish if I would have seen stuff like this when I first started noticing her symptoms, and I could have did something sooner before it got so bad.
yeah,
It's just, it's hard.
yeah,
And then one of the things that's hard is when she's diagnosed, a lot of people doesn't understand type 1, type 2 so different, that every time I would give her something, like the doctors told us, if she goes to a birthday party or something, treat her like a normal kid. Don't treat her different. And they would be like, you going to let her eat that? Is she supposed to eat that? Well, if her sugars are good, she can have that. She's a kid. That's hard to make other people understand. And with Lily, she has a hard time with that too, because people or her friends, or they'll say, how do you get to eat stuff like that? Well, she eats like a normal kid. She just has to watch how much she eats of it.
yeah. Our endo said the same thing, Bridget. She can have pizza. She can, let her be a kid. They don't want to make them feel like they're being robbed.
Right.
But, when he actually said almost that same thing to us, let her live a normal life. And I remember thinking, who's normal? Your normal or our normal?
Right.
Because, normal, yeah, the new normal, but it's not normal. This is not normal. Yes, it's the new normal, but
Right.
your daughter and my daughter remember before type 1.
Right. Yes, they do.
So it's our new normal.
Yes.
But yeah. Very emotional.
It is. I have cried today, and we made videos.
I saw your video. So when I got on here, I was already like, I knew I was going to be speaking to you, and I kind of had a little bit of background information about your daughter and the diagnosis, and the fact that her she was at 1080.
Right.
Which makes my heart drop to the floor. But yeah, so she clearly felt horrible.
Yes.
And you think back, and she wasn't really complaining. Cassie really didn't, and then you wonder, like, wow, like they didn't even realize how sick they were.
Right. That's true.
So all right, well, do you want to just real quickly go over, you already said it, but do you want to just really quickly go over the symptoms again? She was drinking more. You want to just all the same ones that we all share. She had all the classic ones, but you thought it was the flu.
Right. I noticed she was tired and moody and very clingy. She wanted to be by my side all the time. And one of the biggest signs was being thirsty and going to the bathroom a whole lot. That was the thirsty part. That's what I even Googled, and that's even what it said.
Yes.
Symptoms and signs of diabetes. And if you in your gut as a parent, if you know and you just have that feeling, just go get it checked out. Just follow your gut. No matter what your kids say, just go.
Yeah. Yes, that's so important. You're right. because we do. I think we kind of look to them for them to tell us.
Right.
You know, we're thinking like and I mean, I did it to Cassie. You know, I'm like, she's not acting herself. She's doesn't look right. Something's wrong. But they're telling us, you know, no, I'm fine. Or she said, no, I'm fine. And you're like, no, you're not. But you can't go back, you know, and that's why this is important to get this out there and share it for, you know, when you looked at her that morning, when you woke her up to go to the doctor visit, which you thought she was probably going to be getting a positive flu test.
Yes.
And you looked at her, what looked different about her that morning than when she went to bed the night before? Did you notice a drastic change in her appearance?
I did. She was very, very pale. And she looked like she just lost so much weight overnight. That's just what it looked like overnight. She just looked super skinny. And I was like, I didn't even notice that she had lost weight. But that morning, just looking at her, she was so pale and she just looked so skinny to me. It looked like her face was sunk in. And that's what really, really got me. That's what it's like, okay, we going right now.
Yeah. I know exactly. It's almost like a look they get, because I've heard other parents say that too. When I looked at Cassie, I went back just because I wanted to see what was I missing, or I went back 24 hours right before she was diagnosed, and the look on her face, I looked in her eyes, she just looked, I don't know another word to describe it other than weird. She didn't look normal to me, what I would think that Cassie normally looked like. And it was something in her eyes. They looked dark, sunken in. She almost looked, and it happened kind of quickly. I just noticed something's off in her eyes. And, you know, sometimes when you get sick, whether it's, you know, a bad cold or the flu, your eyes tell on you. Right. You know, when you look, you don't look well in your eyes, you know. And that was the other thing I wanted to say too. When you said that, it reminded me of the 24 hours before Cassie was diagnosed, and I took pictures, and I remember looking at her thinking, something's weird about her eyes, but
right,
I didn't know. So yeah, and the sunken inness.
Yep.
I wonder what that's from. I'd love to know what that goes along with, because I've heard that from a lot of people, and I saw it with my own eyes. So it's definitely, it's a very kind of in your face thing that you can't write off any longer. Like,
right.
Yeah, something's wrong. So was she talking in the car on the way to the doctor's office?
She was talking on the way down there. My mother actually rode with us and my other two little ones, and she was talking, she was saying she was thirsty and she was hungry. But on the way there, she was just acting sick. Like, I was thinking still the flu whenever on the way down there. But when we left the doctor's office to go to the hospital, it was a big, big change from just there. That's when she could barely hold her head up, and she was just wanting to lay down, and it was just so fast. It was just like, she just went downhill so fast, with just in a couple of days of us noticing, you know, of her not feeling good to just bam. And I think if I wouldn't have listened to my gut and took her to the doctor that morning that I thought she had the flu, where would we be at right now, you know? My baby might not even have been here right now.
It's a horrifying thought.
Right.
I've read many stories like that. So it's definitely a time period where you can catch it, you know, before it can. And I just thank you so much for doing this. It seems like I cried more than you. What a strong woman you are. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
You're all done for the day. Yeah, and then tomorrow is the diversary, so it's yeah, I'm sure it's emotional time, but thank you so much for doing this and sharing your story. Is there anything that you wanted to add or you felt like you left out? Anything at all that you wanted to share?
Just listen to your gut when you feel like something's not right with your child, and just pay attention to those things. And if you go take your children to a checkup, request a finger prick just to check their sugar, just to be safe, just for that extra. Because I wish my kids would have got checked just at their little checkups. That could have made a difference right there.
Yeah,
Just
just
right. That's all it would have took. And just
yeah, I know.
um bring awareness, talk to other parents, just get it out there, the signs and symptoms and things like that, just to help people.
Yeah, yes. Thank you so much. Is she around you? Will she say hi?
I'm leaning.
I saw a hand.
She's super
No,
shy.
that's okay. I don't want to make her uncomfortable. Well, you guys are choosing to celebrate tomorrow. It's, in my opinion, it's now like my daughter's second birthday. So
Right. I
that's how
felt
I
a
feel.
little different about it at first. To
Yeah.
me, I didn't feel the same she did, but she sat down and explained to me what it meant to her. It's okay. So we will be celebrating because that's what she wants to do. Because
Yeah.
she says that means she beat it for a year and she's still here and survived it. So,
Yeah. I know. And it's, everybody, I guess, has their own feelings about it. And, you guys are just a year out. But when Cassie just celebrated, we're not far behind each other. As far as diagnosis days, Lily and Cassie. She was diagnosed October
okay.
2019.
Okay.
So I had a anniversary for her here on Halloween, and I had signs and everything made up. There, that's the same signs. That's the cover of the group. I don't
Oh,
know if you,
okay. Those
yeah,
are,
yeah. I put
I
them in
really
the front
like
yard.
them.
Oh yeah, I put them in the front yard, and we're in a cul-de-sac. So I mean, people turn around here, and you might get the occasional jogger, but I don't care. If one person reads them and it clears up some stigmas, then it's worth it.
Right.
But so her anniversary party, I wanted to celebrate her, you know, and at first she wasn't sure. I don't think how she felt about it because, who's excited to celebrate something like that? But I just wanted her to understand that, we're not celebrating that. We're celebrating you and the
Right.
fact that we have you and you're here. And, can you imagine? I told her, can you imagine having this 20 years ago? All the changes in the technology and us, like Cassie, to me is, the technology now, you're in a whole lot better position than, I mean, there's a member here, I think she's had it over 30 years. So I'm grateful. Obviously, all of us are grateful,
Right.
but everybody has to, I don't know. I just feel like everybody has to celebrate it. It's a lot of work through
Right.
each year.
It is. It really is.
It is a lot of work. And you know what? You're getting a pat on the back. And, this is just how I feel. But everybody has their own feelings and emotions about it. But um, yeah, that's
Right.
just my take on a anniversary. How does she feel? Lily, how do you feel?
How do you feel?
What?
Celebrating tomorrow.
Celebrate tomorrow.
Happy or sad?
I don't know.
Both?
Happy or sad?
Or
Both.
both?
Both.
Yeah, I was just going to say you can be both because I think Cassie was both. Yeah, you can be both. Well, you're a strong little girl and happy anniversary. Celebrate yourself and your strength. And thank you so much for letting your mom sit with me.
Yeah.
She said you're welcome.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night and have a good day tomorrow. And I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there's Patricia. Patricia is one of the members. If you want to go back through and read the comments, if you want to share this, you're more than welcome. As I'm crying snot out of my nose, I don't care. You can share this if you want, but Patricia, she's a member. She's been type 1 for, oh my gosh, she'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm over 30 years. I don't know the exact number, but I know it's over 30 years.
Okay.
So I'm really happy to have her in this group. Yeah. Well, thanks again, and I really appreciate it. And there's another one on Thursday, and I'm sure I'll cry then too. But thank you so much.